Time having arrived, I call the not the regularly scheduled, the meeting of the Accounts Committee to order. With me is Councilor Susan Nicastro, the Dean of the City Council, Councilor Shirley Azak, Councilor at Large Wynn Farwell, and Councilor at Large David Texera. And of course, our clerk, the auditor, Irene Giannopoulos.
Thank you, Accounts Committee, for coming this evening. I have pulled up the agenda for tonight's Accounts Committee meeting, and I will proceed with discussion number one. So I wanted to fill the Accounts Committee on the tremendous progress we've made with Brockton Public Schools when it comes to bill pay. I know publicly all of us, council, school committee, FinCom, everyone under the moon has been discussing, sort of progress with BPS in terms of, unfortunately it started off with a deficit, but, things sort of unraveled into, questions about contracts and questions about procurement officers and stuff like that. So there came a point where, as the auditor, I really needed to sit down with BPS and say, it's almost nearly impossible to continue to pay the bills this way without really knowing what's going on. I need to have the ability to audit, and I can go in and audit whenever I choose, because BPS is a department of the city. But I really wanted to talk to them to sort of come up with a game plan on what it is they need to do to get caught up with things like 30B, things like there's overall structure there. From a not just administrative level, but from a finance level. And we started a weekly meeting with the Director of Strategy and Compliance, Kim Tsai. She comes to my office every Friday. And we just started sort of unraveling everything. And what I wanted to get out of it the most, not just me, but also my accounts payable staff, is really learning the inner workings of the business component of BPS. We get these bills, we're taking more of an effort to look and make sure contracts are included, we're taking more of an effort to understand kind of what the vendor's doing and what this is for, as a way to sort of safeguard the city because of their lack of a procurement officer, right? So it started off like that. And now it's kind of snowballed into a learning process between us and them on things like why some of their vendors are sole source, what we need for them to type up to put onto Munis so we can feel comfortable in just continuing to pay these. What I had requested from BPS, I think it was about 2 months ago, or maybe a month and a half ago, with a prior procurement officer who has since left, was some kind of an action plan from BPS on how you're going to train everybody up on procurement, how long it's going to take, so we have a sense of how much longer we're going to have to keep looking at all of this extra stuff that traditionally doesn't really fall in the realm of auditing, things like understanding their contracts and so on and so forth. And what myself and the Director of Strategy and Compliance are doing is together crafting these action plans so I, as the city auditor, can feel comfortable in continuing to pay these bills for them while they get caught up, if that makes sense. So it's pretty detailed. I've got just a draft here, and I really wanted to share it with everyone once we've sort of finalized it, and of course we have to get it authorized by the parties above us. But there's things like an implementation timeline. So, how big is BPS? How many administrative staff do you have? How long is it going to take to train everyone on understanding procurement and start thinking this way? Because if I were to quote the Director of Strategy and Compliance at a former school committee meeting that was held, I think, a week or two ago, what they're trying to do there, and it's understandable, they're trying to change sort of the paradigm with the way people are thinking. They need to be able to rearrange the idea that when you're budgeting and getting ready to pay a vendor, you need to have everything in terms of procurement ready ahead of time. then you submit bills for payment rather than the reverse. So again, it's sort of unraveling this kind of big knotted net, and we're working together to do it. So along with an implementation timeline, we were discussing, and it's sort of like a back and forth, and, I'm being asked my professional opinion, and I'm saying, hey, listen, is one procurement officer enough for Brockton Public Schools? I think there's correct me if I'm wrong, 26 schools in total, or I don't remember, 29. And then you've got all these separate sort of divisions, as we call them, community schools, transportation, food service, school lunch, that aren't, a school themselves, but a separate department. It sounds like a lot of work for one person to do alone.
Yes.
So, they're going back to the drawing board and discussing it on their end, they might need 2 or 3 procurement officers, or maybe 1 procurement officer and 2 assistants. But in the end, we're starting to think and sort of come up with something that makes sense. You're building a procurement officer, a department, it sounds like, at BPS. How long is it going to take to train everybody up? And what's going to happen thereafter? There's a section where, I'm going to be performing audits. I want to see, as we progress and we start getting bills from BPS, and, let's say I pulled 20 vendors for school, and I start going on the system and seeing what do I see on Munis now in terms of contracts. I see 11 out of the 20. That's an audit. So I would alert BPS on this. But it's really just a game plan to allow them time to catch up and rebuild their structure, which makes sense to me as the city auditor. There's a Munis component in terms of training. It's going to be very detailed, and I'm going to help out with that. Additionally, what I wanted to share with the committee tonight and with the folks at home who are watching, there was a PowerPoint that was shared by the Director of Strategy and Compliance. I have to keep remembering the name of her title. But there's a form now that's been developed, which is sort of the basic tool that they need to start training everybody up on how they're going to procure, how they're going to do business with vendors in general, which I think is huge, because it's pretty much that one piece we needed for me to feel comfortable that things like this are taken seriously, and that we're just as understanding of the situation of them. And knowing that there's a form now built that's already begun and gone live with the BPS staff shows progress there, right? So it's essentially something I can use if I get a question from an external auditor like CLA, or even maybe the DOR themselves, and say, hey, listen, we've developed an action plan in conjunction with BPS. They've got a tool now. We're going to go over a realistic timeline of how long it's going to take for them to actually go live. So there's a start date, implementation date. Go live is completion, right? How long will that take to train up hundreds of administrative staff? 1 year, 2 years? Something we need to put together in the action plan. And then that way I feel comfortable under Chapter 44 to continue to pay these bills, because I can show good faith that we're making progress and trying to get in line from a legal compliance standpoint at BPS. Does this make sense? So I just wanted to show you this particular form. If you could bear with me one moment. Of course I had it up and now I can't find it. Okay. You guys should be able to see that on your screen now. So this is something that's been provided to all administrative staff that have the ability to perform AP functions at BPS.
Can you make it smaller?
Could you zoom out?
Zoom out.
Yeah, just so we can see the
Whole thing.
larger form.
Yes.
Thank you. Okay.
Too much? Zoom in.
Maybe one more. Yeah, one in.
One more out?
One in.
One more in. Okay.
Alice, does that work?
Yeah.
Thank you.
So to put this into perspective, whether there was a time period where BPS had a procurement officer and did it, that is still, I'm not quite sure as to the time period where they had one and they didn't, but there was a rather large gap where they didn't. And this is a simple way to start training the staff, to start understanding the way they're supposed to conduct business when getting ready to set up their budget, getting their expenses in line a year ahead of time, and having any contracts that might be necessary in place ahead of time. It's definitely still a work in progress, but I think what's important to say is that it's progress, and I'm seeing it on my end as city auditor. At this point, that's all I've got to fill everyone in on right now. One additional thing is that along with our weekly meetings with the Director of Strategy and Compliance, I sit down with her and our Supervisor of Accounts Payable on this side. We take the stack of school bills we receive every week and we go through them piecemeal. And we want to know what's going on. Do you guys have the contract for this? We didn't get it, it's not on Munis. Yes, we do. They're keeping a tally of all of their contracts that they've got there throughout the entire district in one place, so they're centralized and organized, and it's just a communication opportunity for them to show me that they've got this. And then I can say, all right, they've got it, pay it. If there's a time where we need to pull it and CLA wants it, they have it, and we can continue until we can put together something organized and structured on their end that we agree with on this side, to have it finally be executed where we know they can do this now on their own, and I can start just paying bills out without it taking so long. Does that make sense?
Yes.
That's all I have at this moment. I welcome any questions.
Perfect. And I do want to note before I open the floor to questions that the Director of Strategy and Compliance was invited this evening. She's unable to make it.
Right.
But it does sound from the presentation and from our conversation that that it's a much better, much more productive working relationship. And for my part, I appreciate that and the efforts made on both sides to bring us to where we need to be. Councilors, questions on the presentation? Councilor Farwell.
Just very briefly, Mr. Chairman, and picking up on something that you said, I do a lot of research into issues and where we are with things. And I'm sorry that Attorney Kim Tsai is not here tonight, because from everything I hear, she is a voice of reason, she is professional, she is collaborative. When she was first hired, I spoke out quite forcefully against that hiring because I did not favor expending that kind of money prior to knowing the FY26 budget constraints. And I was also concerned with the fact that she and the superintendent had a prior relationship of a legal nature, and I was wrong to prejudge that. And I certainly apologize, as I would to her if she were here in person. This has worked out very well. You and I have spoken about it. I've spoken to other people in the administration about it, other people in the city, and she has done. I think she's brought a certain cohesiveness to what we're trying to accomplish, without agreeing with everything that one side wants or one side does or the other side does. When you can bring in a cohesiveness of thought and you can begin to change the culture and behavior of an organization, which is basically what you're trying to do, Madam Auditor. You're trying to change a whole culture and behavioral pattern of the Brockton Public Schools, because purchasing and procurement and auditing is about ensuring that we effectively and efficiently use the resources that we're given by the taxpayers to get the greatest return on our investment. and that's so important in public education. So I thank, even though I've never met her, I regret that I looked at the monetary issue and looked at the personal relationship issue. I should not have prejudged that. I am glad that she is working with you and others so well. I hope she will come in, Mr. Chairman, at some point and visit with us. And I think this will take time. And I think the only question I was going to have for you is, by July 1st, 2025, when we get into the next fiscal year, I would hope we'll be far enough along so that we're going to have a high degree of efficiency with purchasing and procurement. Because the people who will be trained are talented, a lot of them are experienced, so it isn't as if we're having to bring a whole group of people off the street and indoctrinate them into municipal government, purchasing and procurement. So I guess that would be the only question I have is, do you foresee this as falling in place for the fiscal year 2026 budget?
I do. I definitely don't want to have to go piecemeal through every single school bill every week because it's very difficult on us and on the staff in my office. It's necessary for now, but I'm really trying to work with them and get them to a point where they're self-sufficient and I can count on them to already have this covered. So when a bill gets to me, we can do what we're really supposed to just do in the end is audit and invoice compared to the PO and make sure that when it comes to the contracts, they've got it covered. We're there. We're getting close. It's just a matter of finalizing this action plan and having everyone on board. Thank you for bringing that up, Councillor Farwell. If there's anything that I've gotten out of this over, our amount of time that we've been trying to do this is just to get everyone to understand one another's role. And I think that was a huge issue, truthfully, since the beginning. I don't want to speak for everyone, but I had an opportunity to kind of bring up in a Zoom when me and the folks across the street and a bunch of other folks in here above me were all together. And what I said was, I think there's a communication problem, really. I don't think anyone really understands this role and my authority and why it's so hard for me. If I knowingly am aware that I'm presented with an invoice and it's unlawful, I can't pay it. So I do have that authority. But how do we get to a point where we can work with BPS, where they won't come to a screeching halt, but I need to get something back in return to show that they're handling it, they're taking care of it. And I feel like something like this form and something like this action plan written between the two of us is huge.
And I guess, Mr. Chairman, just a last comment would be, I agree. I think you might need more than one procurement person because you've got special education as an animal unto itself, and then you have buildings and grounds and maintenance, and then you have technology, supplies, instructional materials. The only thing I would say to my colleagues is that I hope that, and I think this is the law, that it would all be under our Chief Procurement Officer, Mike Morris, but he can delegate to people to carry out the required functions of 30B, but still maintain oversight to make sure that the city is doing what it should do. So
Right.
I have great faith in Mr. Morris, and I know that he can work with anyone. So I'm hoping that if we do have multiple people on the school side, that they'll work as a unit with Mike Morris. So thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Azak?
Thank you. Good evening, Madam Auditor. So I just want to thank you for the presentation, and I'm really happy to hear that there has been a collaboration that's been established between us on the school side, and the form really looks great. I think, these are things that are long overdue, but I'm happy that you have, we're on our way with them and that we're moving forward. So I look forward to hearing more good news. So thank you.
You're very welcome.
All set.
Thank you, Councillor. Yep, I I would add, oh, do you have something? Councilor Castro?
Okay, thank you. Thank you, David. Good evening, Irene. Thanks for being here. I guess what I wanted to say is, and you weren't here then, but why wasn't it done this way all along? And I do want to say that we had some issues filling and keeping filled the auditor's position, right? We had auditors who were burdened with ailments and family matters and stuff. And so we've gone through a number of years, like almost since I came on the council, and this is my 8th year, where we didn't have steady, consistent auditing for a lot of reasons. But I'm just amazed that we made it this far with so little, because this doesn't seem to be asking for much, this form.
Right. It just took a matter of coming together and having someone take that initiative that we need to create something to not just satisfy the city auditor's office, but really to satisfy this department, right? It's not causing harm, it's causing benefit. It's that initiative to make it happen, and I applaud.
Doesn't this form protect them
Absolutely.
as well as the
Yes.
auditing department?
It does. It does. In terms of the turnaround in this office and with this position, I will say that this is an extraordinary situation to be in as a city auditor. The equivalent of a city auditor is a town accountant, if we were talking about towns, and this is not something that is regular. So I need everyone to think of that. It's really a team effort. I believe in one accounts committee meeting, or maybe a FinCom meeting, I said that, in order for this position in my office to be healthy and stable, everyone around me needs to be as well. It's too hard to do it alone. So I really need that collaboration from everyone, that cooperation, and just understanding how important things like systems are, building this foundation, this financial foundation underneath the actual services we're providing. It can't crumble because it will directly affect the services. I think we're all on that page, but I can't stress enough the importance of making sure our foundation is solid if we're to continue, not just in my office, but as a city in general.
I agree, it's imperative. It's imperative, and anyone who doesn't understand that needs to sit down and get educated yesterday. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Counselor. Did you actually have something, Counselor Texera, or?
Yes, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Mr. Hart, to be here. It's always great when you get an adult in the room and discuss the problem that we need to discuss about, especially on the school side. And it's like when you say on your opening that everybody came to a room and discussed what's the best for the city, and especially for the school. And you definitely got something done. And it's a plus, and that's how it should be done. Let's get everybody in the room and discuss what's the best for the school and for the city, because it's all of us. But thank you for what you've been doing and continue to do. And on my end, whatever you need from me, I'm here to help and being to serve this beautiful city. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Counselor. Yeah, I think that, one of the things, how has it gone like this, definitely comes around just the more and more the finances are unraveled. I think a lot of it comes from the word's been used a lot, the siloing between the city and schools, to the point where if, prior to the deficit, if the auditing office had come along and said, no, we're gonna change this up, there probably would have been a similar amount of resistance as to what we received initially. But I think that the fact that there is a form, the fact that the form is, I believe, being, people are complying with it, That's huge, and it is a way for us, we need to be here, they're here, this gets us to where we need to go. So that's pretty big. And so we appreciate your efforts, and we appreciate Ms. Tsai's efforts as well. If that's all we've got for item 1, then we'll go to the review of the warrants, if there's anyone who would like to start off with some questions. Counselor? Counselor Azak.
Okay. I just have a really quick question. It's actually on page 3. And I'm not sure if I'm reading it right, but it's down, invoice Easy Pass 104, 505, 187.
Would it be possible to give me the PO number?
Yeah, the PO numbers, sure, hang on, let me my eyesight, I believe it's 21050197.
Okay.
On page 3?
Yes, yeah. It says veterinary services, but then it says, right.
Okay. Is this for, sorry.
So, I have to apologize because like I mentioned at the beginning to you, I haven't been on accounts in a long time. I remember way back, we had like a key to know which departments kind of went with certain POs.
Oh, I can provide the committee with that key.
That would be great.
Yeah,
That would
yeah.
be great, just because I remember that way back, at the time it was Mel, she had given it to us, so it would be easy to kind of tell if it was the city side, what department.
I'm glad you brought that up, Counselor Asak, because I can
would
seg
be
that
great.
way out now into a little UMIS lesson. So that department code is actually a UMIS function. So there's a reason why you see where I'm pointing the cursor at right here? There's a reason why the first 4 numbers are tied to a department, because UMIS tells us. So this happens to be the police department.
Oh, it's the police department, okay.
Yeah. So I'll pull up the invoice. It's for a credit card charge they made on the city's credit card.
Police have to pay Easy Pass? Like in a cruiser?
I think Easy Pass is with the top one. I think it's a little
No,
confusing.
No, it's here. It's right above the one
Sorry.
you mentioned.
That's what I thought. That's why I was confused, but then when I read it.
In-state travel, 320.
All right, so it looks like they took some exams, canine exams at the vet.
On the
Yeah,
police
it's a
dog.
police dog.
Yeah, and they couldn't, it was probably a quick payment that needed to be made, so they had to use the city's credit card as opposed to going through the whole PO process.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah, that's it for now. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Counselor. Counselor Farwell?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I was joking with the auditor. I went through 536 pages, so I share Councilor Azak's eyesight problem. My eyes are,
I believed you.
They
You
gotta-
didn't?
they got to work out. So let's start off with page 2. I had not seen Elan Financial Association before. It is a credit card service, and my understanding is that police, fire, human resources, and finance have credit cards. But for the committee, I'd like a list of who has credit cards that are now going to be reporting to Elan Financial Services,
So it's,
school side as well as municipal.
we're in talks to possibly have the school department be added to that, but I'll say first, who has access to the city's credit card and who's making charges? It's finance, the mayor's office, HR, police, and the law department. All city departments can use the card, but we have a policy where, one, I need to make sure the expenses are allowable, because we can't just charge for whatever reason. And two, they need to have an invoice available, a receipt, so we can justify the charge before we even use the card. So that has to be followed with the credit card policy. Truthfully, and this is just me putting on my city auditor hat, and not everyone's going to agree with this, but I don't like credit cards. It's just there's not a lot of room for control on my end, but we do understand that, you know, if someone like the school department needs to do driver's ed training and they got to just charge something with the RMV quick, you know, the RMV is not going to sit and wait for a PO. So I get it. It really should be used in sort of, not emergency, but sort of funky situations where we really do need to have a procurement card available. That's who has access to Elon, and not all departments use it, and there is discussion about the school department getting started with that as well.
Well,
But everyone have to follow the credit card policy.
we
stringently.
certainly didn't have them back when I was in the mayor's office, and you did business with a vendor, and you'd give them a purchase order, and then they would take that as
Right.
the fact that payment was going to be forthcoming. And I notice on here that, and some of this stuff I can pick out, but let's just take purchase order 210-50010, 2105-0010. Party time on July 1st, 2024, $290.71. And there's another party time that's going to come up. Oh, no, there's a party city, I'm sorry. There's a party city that I'll mention to you. So maybe we could take a look at what that was and which department it was. And
Okay, so this was the police department.
Both of them? One of them?
There's two.
There's three.
3,
Party times.
One party time, two let's party.
But there's two exact PO numbers for two different invoices.
Oh, there's two party times.
okay. let's
do I
see.
have the right PO number?
Okay. Enterprise ad placement for police department vehicle repair. July credit card charges, Mass Association of Law Enforcement. Well, I mean, I don't know the Enterprise or Gannett, their policy on payment for ads, but I would discourage, Madam Auditor, but you don't report to us, you report to the mayor, I would discourage the use of credit cards. Let's go down to the other one that was for a little bit more money. This is Party City, and it's 2105-0174. 2105-0174. This is for $762.50 for Party City.
This is a Jamboree equipment rental.
Yeah.
This is hitting a grant fund. Let me just figure out which department it is. Oh, it's the police department.
All right, maybe this is related to, there's another one here for Let's Party, and this is 1335-0031, 1335-0031 for $553.63.
right, so this was the finance department, patient Uber health rides. This is hitting against grant funds.
So do we pay to transport people, the health department?
Yes, I believe that this had to do with BOH. If you want, I can get more information for you on this, but I'm pretty sure it's through Dr. Monuser's program.
Because there are other Ubers in here, and actually, since this is our inaugural meeting with a newly constituted committee, I guess, Madam Auditor, I had several procedural questions. We have a lot of invoices that are going to come in for the public safety building. And then we have invoices that come in for the school department. And then we have invoices that come in for other large departments like police and fire. Is it possible, instead of getting this report where everything is mixed in, is it possible to extract all of the public safety invoices by using one of these identifying numbers so that could be printed separately? And is it possible to do that for the schools so that everything isn't commingled? Because to track some of these as to whether it's school, whether it's DPW, whether it's the public safety building, and to the extent that the public deserves to be able to understand this, if it's hard for me, it's going to be hard for them.
It will more than likely have to be with a different type of report, not that one in particular. I'd have to do a little digging into Munis. I have an idea of where I could get it, but there's a possibility it won't be constructed formally as a paid invoice report is, because we only have so many reports we can run on the system. It might really just be me extracting information from a department's budget line and exporting it onto Excel. If that is something the committee would be willing to take. If not, I can try to do some more digging on Munis. See if there's something, there's not a way for me to, through this report, pull out specific departments, unfortunately.
Because obviously, if something's related to the public safety building, we don't have to look into construction materials and all of that stuff.
Right.
I mean, it's pretty obvious, but 536 pages is a bit overwhelming.
Right.
I mean, it really is, honestly.
I'll throw in, just if I can, the reason it's this intense amount of paperwork is my fault. I asked the auditor to get us the warrants for December and for January because due to all the scheduling stuff and everything going on last year, we didn't have a chance to crack open December.
Okay.
So I figured, we bite off a little more than we can chew this meeting, so that way we don't miss December.
Okay.
But going forward, I hope that we have meetings at a level of frequency that we don't wind up with anything missing. But given, the amount of things located, I do think it was a good idea to keep December, on our plate.
You just wanted to play drill sergeant and make sure that all of us measured up to your expectations.
You sitting up straight, Counselor?
All right, let me go to page 49, warrant number P25051. P25051, page 49, and it is, the vendor is 12842, Commonwealth of Mass, Department of Public Health. We returned $123,666, and I'd like to know what grant was returned and any supporting documentation you may have for that.
Do you have the PO number?
The PO number is, hold on a minute, 8506-5001.
All right, so this is the school department.
I'm sorry, school?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Let me see.
I'll scroll slowly.
Let me see, CSHS. So in other words, they reconciled a grant.
And they underspent on the line items. So there's a cutoff time as to how much you can spend.
Okay. But it looks like it was a state grant. That kind of surprises me, huh?
I'm actually unsure, but I can find out.
Okay. There's also, I hope I can find it. There was one of the things in here that and you know I don't like, it's one-time vendor. We apparently rebated significant funds for water and sewer to someone, but it didn't identify to whom it was paid, and I don't know if I have that. I don't know if I have that readily available. Hang on a minute. I'm sorry to take up the time here. An awful lot of party time food purchases, and I'm not suggesting anything is wrong, but my preference would be that we do a purchase order. Let me see. Well, Mr. Chairman, I've lost sight of that one-time vendor issue, so I'll yield, but I will just say, Madam Auditor, as you know, special ed transportation is very costly, and for our next meeting, if we don't find out Monday night, for our next meeting, I'd like to know where we are with issuing bids pursuant to our ordinance for special ed transportation. I realize this year is shot. I mean, the school year 24-25 is gone, but that does not mean that we can't comply with our own ordinances and issue bids and hopefully save what could be tens of thousands of dollars for the next school year, because as I look through this, I mean, you've got some vendors that have already made $225,000.
Right.
But anyway, thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I'll keep looking for this, see if I can find it.
Thank you, Counselor. Real quick, before I go to Counselor Texera, I just had one quick question. The counselor asked for a list of who has access to the city credit card, which you did provide. Would it be possible for us to just get a list of who has access to the school one?
There isn't a school one right now.
Okay, oh, even better, yeah.
We're going to have a Zoom to discuss having an official either school credit card, but I'm going to have to definitely be involved in that because I'm not crazy about it. We need a Zoom to just sort of talk about how it's going to work. Yeah, that's where we are right now with it. But in terms of credit cards, any credit cards that exist outside of the authority of my office and the CFOs, of course, are not valid.
Yeah.
They should never be open, they should never be used, and any that come to my attention, if I find any, are immediately addressed with the department head. It's illegal, can't do it, no.
Fair enough. I know that part of the deficit problem was too many people had the access, and I didn't know where we had, I know that it was rescinded a little, so I didn't realize that it was completely gone, so that's something.
If I can use this moment to just possibly bring up an agenda item for our next Accounts Committee meeting. I think a lot of sort of confusion perhaps over the years, or maybe, at least since I've been here, in the 2 years I've been here, is that a lot of policies weren't written down. And my staff has been working really hard, along with everything else that we've been trying to do, in writing out all of our departmental policies that affect outside departments, including schools, and putting them on the city auditor's website. In a normal world, it would be on an intranet site, not an internet site, but I think we're still in the works to get an intranet site. But it's there for now, and an email was sent out that, any processes having to do with my office are now on my webpage, so everyone can see rules and regulations when it comes to things like travel. What's an appropriate expenditure that you can get reimbursed for, what's not, things like that. To piggyback off of what our chair was saying, having something like our credit card policy displayed on there would be helpful in getting everyone to sort of understand what's appropriate in terms of SOPs and just regular business practices within a municipality and the public sector and even the private sector in general. I think that's helpful as well.
Yeah, the more public the city can be about its standards, the easier it is for the public to hold the city to those standards. So, that's good. I think that, definitely could be item number 1 for the next meeting. Councilor Teixeira?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. On page 3, I got a question, PO number, it's 21050163.
163.
163. It's Amazon dog. Food purchase.
Okay, this is another credit card charge. This is also the police department again. It's a charge for a toll.
I have a question related to this.
But it says food purchase.
Yeah, that's what.
Excuse me.
So I just have a
Where
quick
does
question.
it say school?
related to this.
On the item?
Yes, on this item.
What do you got, Councilor?
So with this Easy Pass, do we have transponders, or are they billing us?
Fair question.
I'll have to find that out. I'm not exactly sure.
Yeah.
Just because I know we're a municipality, but if for some reason we miss these bills, whatever they bill us, we're gonna end up paying late fees and.
I'm sure that other fleets, if you assume city vehicles as a fleet, I'm sure other fleets have a transponder or some
That's why
company
I'm
account.
We'll find out.
Okay.
But if you've,
Oh, is this it, right here? Can we tell the police?
but the item is not.
Yeah, that's not the right item.
$320, it's $112.30, according to
Right.
the paid invoices report.
Are we paying for an Easy Pass account?
Should have the plate number on it if you scroll back up, though.
Yeah, there it is. Plate number's at the top of the screen.
MPH431, that would be, that would not be a police plate. That would be another city department.
Could it be a command vehicle?
Where are you seeing an amount higher than the 320?
On your
It's-
paid invoices report, page 3, I'm sorry, Councilor Teixeira, I spoke over you.
It's on page 3. And it's for $112.30.
What's that PO, though?
The PO, it's 2105-0163.
Because that's what this is that hold on, did I pull up the wrong
Would
one?
you read the PO again, Counselor?
2010.
2105-0163.
Oh, I did 36, sorry.
Okay.
Okay. 210. 50163.
It's this one. Food purchase.
Okay. This is also the police department.
Still comes out as...
I'm just guessing, but it might be police recruits going to an academy.
Why? Hold on. Did I just do it? Did I just do it again?
It comes out on the...
'Cause that would be for a monthly billing, so.
Hold on, hold on. I think we've got the wrong PO attached to this, so I'll actually have to pull the paperwork.
Yeah.
Yeah, it says a couple of different things on it. It's a little
Yeah.
mashed.
There's two identical
The number,
POs.
the PO ending in 36 got misattached to this PO ending in 63. So we have to go and actually pull the box and pull the work out. And I'll report that back to the committee. Sorry about that.
Okay. And I think that, Counselor, expanding on your question, I think a good question for next time is, what is our Easy Pass arrangement? How do we pay it? If we pay by plate every time, then, do we get a fleet Easy Pass?
Looks like we're reimbursing.
Mr. Chair,
Looks like we're paying by plate.
yeah, we got two PO. If you look the last three POs,
Yeah. No, there's a few.
the two POs the same.
Yeah.
Last, it's 2105-0163.
Yes.
There's one for $112.30 and there's the other one for $1.80. That's Dunkin' Easy Pass, so.
Yeah. Convenient to have both at the same time. Dunkin' Donuts.
Okay,
and
I'll do
Easy
some
Pass.
digging on that and get back to the committee.
I think that's an arrangement.
There's another,
So you've got that 3 times right there?
twice.
2 times.
Yeah. The third one is just Easy Pass.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I have that one-time vendor. I found it.
You have.
If Counselor Texera is done, I managed to.
Just got another
He's
question.
got-
Oh, go ahead.
We'll work through the what Counselor Texera's got now, and then we'll work our way down the line and double back as much as we need.
Got it.
It's still on page 3. It's 2105-0162.
60.
62.
6, okay.
60?
16.
16. Thank you.
No 16.
Yeah, I don't see it.
What's the last number, Counselor?
62.
62?
Oh, so the last one
Oh,
on the page.
62, not
Six-
60?
No, 62.
62,
Yeah.
okay. What was the amount?
2105-0162.
What's the amount of the bill, the payment?
$22.38, out-of-state travel.
I just want to make sure I'm pulling up the right
It's
bill.
it's listed as Dunkin' and Easy Pass. Yeah,
Easy Pass.
that's what it's listed as.
So this is for the police department.
It's a toll.
Really easy.
It's the toll, yeah, for the police department. It says New York.
Yeah, that's what I read, New York, New Jersey.
Yeah.
Oh.
That toll.
Oh, there's a picture of the vehicle. Is that a police vehicle?
What's the,
Throgs Neck Bridge.
No, that can't be right.
Where were they going?
No criminals too far away, Counselor.
As long as they're not bringing them in, I'm okay.
There is a fair amount of fraud with Easy Pass.
There is.
My husband gets bills for a trucker.
can we just see the plate number on that
Yeah.
vehicle, please?
Sorry, the scrolling is just,
So they were there the 29th, 30th, and 31st, came back on
Oh.
their first,
So,
3
yeah.
days, like. Who is this?
Will you
can
go up a
find out
little
more
further to see the
information.
plate?
on this.
Hmm?
I can find out more information on this.
Yeah, we'd appreciate it for the next meeting. Could you go up a little further just to see so we can see the plate again?
It lists a plate here.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I was looking at. Scroll down just a bit so we can see the printout and the picture. I don't think that's the same plate.
It's not cooperating.
No, we overshot it again. Madam Auditor, are you able to set it so the toll activity sheet is at the bottom of the screen, but the license plate picture is at the top?
Can you guys see it?
Yeah.
I
Whoops.
can see the J and the A, yeah.
No,
Let me-
it does.
Oh, but the plate,
Could
the
you
license,
could you back up a couple so we
It
just
is
see
J
the
830, yeah.
yeah, okay, no, that is the same plate number.
Yep.
Fair enough. Some real CSI stuff.
that's all I have for now. Thank you, Madam Auditor. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Counselor. Counselor Nicastro, do you have anything?
I do.
Okay.
Okay.
Counselor, the floor is yours.
So I didn't get my packet until yesterday, and so I started in the middle, because I figured you guys would have the beginning covered. So on page 301, I think the number is, you ready, Irene? It's 1082855. It says it's a settlement, and the check was to Shapiro Law Group, PC.
1082855.
Yes.
There's no extra digit?
No, 1082855.
Okay. Is that the PO number, though? Because the PO number is eight digits long.
Okay, 7.
There is no PO listed.
Okay.
What about over here?
Page 301.
That's the check number.
Yes.
What about the warrant number? There's a warrant number.
That's on page.
This was a settlement with the school department. It's paid out of the school general fund.
And that's all we know?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Is the name of the case there, or
Yes.
type of case? Or?
Looks like it's for attorney fees for the settlement.
Darnell Williams, I don't know.
Do you want me to keep scrolling?
I'd just like to see the yellow highlighted the information on the third page.
Overpaid.
Wow.
So why are we paying them?
The first page indicated that he was an employee, his contract ran out. He was a contractual employee, his contract ran out at the end of June 2024, and he claimed that his further employment was not, the failure to offer him further employment was illegal, or he felt he had an action against it. If you go back to the first page, it explains it. It explains his legal argument. Yeah, just scroll down a little bit. I'll scroll up now. And whereas Williams was employed pursuant to an employment contract, he
Okay.
disputes this employment action and raises allegations, so, but it's interesting, he was overpaid, but then they settled the case and paid his legal fees, so.
Got paid even more.
And he didn't have to give the overpayment back.
Ooh.
Whether it went through the law department is an interesting question.
Do we know how this was overpaid?
You can scroll down and see who the notices go to find out if it went through the law department.
See who the signatories were.
Hmm.
Superintendent.
Didn't say.
No, that's it.
Oh, it was Sarah. See there in number 11. Sarah Spatafor. Wow.
That doesn't make sense.
That's, yeah,
We can do some digging on it.
lovely.
Okay.
Councilman Castro, you still have the floor.
Thank you. On page 302, there's $3 million in checks to the Office of the State Treasurer. And some of the account descriptions are very interesting. Mosquito control project, air pollution control, charter school, school choice.
That's our cherry sheet assessments. That's an accounting entry, technically, not an actual payment. What page is that on, Councilman Castro?
302.
Wait, I don't want to. surcharge.
I don't know.
That's
That's
crazy.
18,000.
Right.
So this has to do with our cherry sheet revenue. These are assessments. Can I just do some more digging on this? I just have to speak to the treasurer.
Okay.
They're not, it's hard to explain. They're not actual payments, but it's something we have to put through the accounting system. I know it doesn't really make sense, but it might actually have to be another lesson for us to have on how we account for the cherry sheet revenue we get it and the assessments that we have to pay out.
Okay. I mean, you know, some of them, they don't make any sense to me. RMV non-renewal surcharge, as Counselor Azak just noted. You know, so I would love an explanation of
Yeah,
that.
it's all stipulated with the Department of Revenue, so we can show that at the next meeting, and I can actually pull it up off of
Okay.
their website.
Some of my pages are upside down. Okay, on page 303, Abington Police Department. The account description is public safety. You want me to give you the PO?
I can jump to that one already.
Okay.
I believe that's something that I asked about a couple of times last year. You'll find surrounding towns, Easton, Abington, Holbrook, the Bridgewaters, Whitman, listed and public safety provided. Those are for details paid that Brockton Police did not take. So you'll find the Sheriff's Department in here too.
Right, I saw that.
So that's where that goes. So if you do a detail in Brockton, you're actually paying the police department. And then I think the department takes like a 5% cut of that, and then the rest of it goes to the officer doing the detail. So that's why we're paying the town of Abington.
Okay, because they must have covered us
Yes.
on a detail.
Yep.
Okay. All right, the next page, page 304. It is, I think it's 631-50401, Ricky Texera. Custodial services, $800.
I bet it's the police department.
Okay, this is Parks and Recs. It's rug cleaning.
Rug cleaning?
Rug cleaning, yeah, it's hit enterprise. At Meadow Lane.
Okay. Custodial services, okay. And then page 305. There's a dentist listed, Gabriella Babu. For veterans, cash benefits. And the number is 543-500-75. Oh, maybe the veteran got dental services and we paid it directly?
Yeah. I can still pull it up.
Okay.
Just if we could do whatever we can to keep any name off the screen. If the recipient is,
It's probably going to, okay. That's more than likely what it is. If I scroll down, the name will probably show up.
$84, that's okay.
Okay.
And what about on the same page, 305, couple down, Baptiste Donaldson, Public Safety, $100. And the number is 323-51885.
if I can jump on that, Counselor, that was something I had listed as a question. There are quite a few listings for $100 every single time, different names, all public safety.
Okay.
So we'll get to the bottom of it.
Safely.
I was on accounts for the first 4 years of my service, but I haven't been on it in a few years, and so I'm a bit rusty.
This is hitting the general fund. Looks like it's some kind of Department of Transportation reimbursement.
Which department?
This actually is the school's general fund, not city side.
Well, since Counselor Lally mentions that there's a number of these, can we just get more information and you'll let us know?
Yeah,
So it
Counselor,
looks-
if I could, they're, in their contract, the school bus drivers, they are allowed a payment of $100 per year for their DOT physical, which is required of anyone who drives a school bus.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's in their Teamsters Local 653 contract. So every school bus driver is eligible for that $100 to offset the cost of the physical and the time that it takes for them to go.
Okay. And there you go.
Judging off that contract, they do seem to have the most valuable time in the city.
What?
That's a hell of a read.
Payments, 3 separate invoices to Aquaria, and 740 feet.
I was coming to that.
Oh, good.
Yeah. We also have same PO on the same page, 305, paid to Aquaria LLC. The PO number is 405-50127. 3 checks for the same amount. They look like triplicates,
Is it monthly payments?
Same dates.
same dates.
Could be cut at the same time.
I think this is what we went over earlier, Counselor Farwell. They're paying 3 months' worth at once.
Remember,
April, May,
Counselors,
June.
we had to authorize
Yes.
additional funding for them because we cut their original appropriation.
Yes.
And so I think they got backed up on their billing.
Okay. Does that sound right, Irene?
Yes.
Okay. Okay,
This
Shirley?
is,
Yeah, thank you.
yeah, it's all 3 separate months.
Yeah, just-
Okay. And then on page 308, I just had a question, Brockton Police Detail. The number is 421-50301. This is $2,500 for snow removal. I would shovel for that amount of money. And I'd just like detail.
Okay, this is hitting highway.
So it says,
Well, it said winter ban parking, so they needed a detail.
giving out warnings and
Maybe
courtesy
to-
tickets.
Tow people who weren't following the ban?
It looks like they didn't tow, they just gave out warnings.
Mr. Chairman, those are the officers called in on a snowstorm. They go out and they tow vehicles from certain areas to facilitate snow removal. And it's got the officer's name there,
Right.
Bob DeLito, Shane Cantone, John Hallisey, Andrew Kalp, and Mark Vaccaro, and you'll notice that they have all got a minimum 4 hours, and that's the cost of having them come in on a detail for the highway department to facilitate snow removal.
Yeah, and it looks like they're handing notices out listed in the description just to say, hey, you're gonna have to move your car.
Wow, that's a lot of money. I hope everyone listened. Okay, on page 309, PO 133-50203. And it says it's for consultants to Capital Strategic Solutions. Their year-to-date was large, $73,000, and I just wondered what it was for.
I have a feeling I know what it's for. So this is through the finance department. And right now, well, let me just pull it up before I don't want to misspeak.
Page 309, in the middle of the page.
Yep, so we have an interim HR director that's contracted through Capital Strategic.
I'm sorry, we have what?
The interim HR director that we have in place until we hire a permanent full-time HR director is contracted through Capital Strategic Solutions. Bob Fennessy.
Okay, so that's for the gentleman who's doing the job.
Right.
Wow.
That's not to him, that's toward the company, right?
His employee.
Yeah, and he probably gets a piece of that after
I see.
it gets to them.
Wow. And we just, was it 2 weeks ago, we moved more money to the HR account to cover, they said it was to cover the cost of the interim HR director. Okay, I have another one on page 312. And the invoice is 296-50123. Waste removal, $700.
Dumpster.
And I just wondered why. And there are a number of payments in here for waste removal. And they're to different companies, and I'd like to know the why, but I'd also like to know why don't we all get on the same page and use the same company?
So this is through Parking Authority. It says yard waste. It's hitting their enterprise fund.
Yard waste?
It did.
They don't have any yards.
Parking authority, yard, yeah?
Like leaves and things.
$700.
What's happening?
For where?
I guess.
Come on.
2 pickups, wow.
Oh, but wait, the service was done on Oak Hill Way? No, wait. This is strange. It says EOS, and then it says the EOS company.
Are you sure it was parking authority?
It was hitting that budget. I can do some
Pickup was
digging
at
and
Oak Hill
see
Way.
what's happening between the two, because obviously that's DPW at Oak Hill Way.
Yes.
Right.
And so will you find out?
Yeah.
Yeah, because then it lists the hauler as EOMS. Strange.
Yeah, I can find that out. Oops.
Okay, I have another one on page 313. And the invoice is 431-50083, FBS Tire Recycling. And the description is trash contract collection service, $800. Their year-to-date invoice was $4,000. And again, it's another trash contract.
Okay, this is refuse. Scrap tire disposal.
Oh, so this is for the scrap tires.
When David asked for something. Dave is asking you something. Dave is asking you something.
Okay, and then on page 315, the last entry at the bottom of the page, Home Depot Credit Services. And the reason is tools and hardware supply. And the invoice is 113-8098. So it's a 7-number invoice? Oh, that was the check number, forgive me. The invoice is 220-50630. So we have credit cards with Home Depot too? Excuse me.
How much was it for?
This one is $49.97, but there are other Home Depot credit services entries in here.
No, it's just, they're just paying Home Depot, not a credit card. Hold on one sec. This is the fire department.
So are we reimbursing someone?
More than likely.
There's another one on page 350.
Yeah, it is a reimbursement for a purchase at Home Depot.
Power cutter.
We should have a PO for that. they just bought something from Home Depot and they charged it on someone's card, which I can look into that further.
Okay, and there's also several entries for Home Depot on page 350. I won't go through them all, but it looks like one is for tools and hardware, one's for firefighting supplies, one's for sewer and water charges. But I just wondered, in all instances, are we, they're not a lot of money, but are we reimbursing? Is it a credit card we don't know about?
It shouldn't be, but I can do some digging and see. It's more than likely last-minute charges that they needed on the fly, and we reimburse them.
Sure, and that happens.
Yeah, but I'll definitely look into that.
And then I have a bunch more, but I'll just ask for one more. Page 329. The PO is 296-50125. It's for building rent or lease.
Page?
Page 329, 329.
All right, so this is parking authority.
Oh, is this for the roof of the Chambers building? No.
No, I think this is the old Stadelman location that's down.
Uh-huh.
I think we use it somehow, the one that's right off of Main Street behind the old hotel.
Yes.
Yes, I think I remember Rob May saying that we were interested
use
in
it.
that, so we might be leasing it for something.
Okay.
High Street parking lot.
Oh. Oh.
So it's for 3 months. Looks like we pay it in advance.
It's $11,250 year-to-date, so it should be pursuant to an RFP. It's over $10,000.
There is a requisition
All
number.
items over 10,000.
Yeah, the pre-O was opened in December.
So from January to March.
There should be a lease agreement somewhere.
What are we storing over there?
I can find the lease agreement on that and forward that.
Okay. That'd be great. So that's my last one for now. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. I will go back to Counselor Texera.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I got a question on page 74. It's a PO number 421-50269.
Peter Serafine.
It's highway. Has to do with snow and ice. It's probably snow removal.
It looks like rental of vehicles.
Looks like we're paying a vendor to plow. You guys are good at picking the good ones.
Could you scroll up? I missed what we were paying him for.
Yeah,
It looks like equipment descriptions.
No, it says,
Oh, it's a snowplow.
Yeah.
Okay, it's
yeah,
plowing.
it's a snowplow.
All different ones.
Yeah. Yep.
So certain equipment are more expensive an hour than others.
Yeah, go by size.
if you don't mind, Madam Otter, if you can just scroll down, is that month of November? We had snow in November.
I think it's for the total of 10 hours at an hourly rate.
Yeah, because it says invoice
November
11/11/24.
Yeah.
Do we have,
Did we have snow in November?
We
I
had
don't
very,
think we had,
not that much.
Maybe a salting operation?
oh, wait a minute. I think,
in November?
Madam Auditor, don't we guarantee certain vendors an amount of money to make them available for
In preparation
plowing
for the upcoming snow.
in the winter months? Otherwise, they don't want to put their vehicles on the road and pay the insurance. So I think we prepay, and I hate to say it, it started 30 years ago, and we're down a lot of snowplow vendors. And I think that may be what has happened here, but it's worth checking.
Incentive.
Yeah, but who follows up to make sure that they
They plow.
plow?
Oh, yeah.
Well, if they don't plow, we'll know it.
Wasn't there one storm, it was threatened, but it didn't turn out, but he still had to have guys on standby? Maybe that was it.
What sticks out to me is a commissioner, I think it was Rowley, once said that when the call is made, that's a $200,000 expense.
I got another one on,
Councilor
gotta-
Texera, you still have the floor.
on page 548. It's the invoice number 85255086. It seems for the same amount, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of $3,330, 5 times. For Brockton Day Nursery.
All right, so this is the school department. This is a grant payment. It's for nursery costs. So they're using grant funds to pay for nursery costs.
Oh, for nursery cost, okay.
Early childhood grants and programs. Is it possible that's for the children of students?
It's probably the schools, yeah.
They do have some kind of program at the high school.
Okay, Madam.
This is Brockton Day Nursery that's down on Crescent Street.
That's all I have. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Counselor? All right, I'll take a couple. All right. Yep. Page 502, the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. We paid them Year-to-date, we've paid them $21,000 for legal, and we have also compensated the Commonwealth $60 this year for in-state travel. And I just don't know if that is, it just looks confusing, so I figured I'd ask. I can get you a PO if you want.
Please.
Okay, 22050728. Oh, easy pass.
All right, this is the fire department.
Okay. I guess that goes to Councilor Texera, your question earlier. We've paid them $60 in easy pass bills year to date,
It-
which
So generally, we want to know what the situation is with easy passes.
yeah,
Am I understanding that right?
okay, yeah.
Is this,
Yeah. It does bring up a question, the year-to-date on this, for myself, for my colleagues, for the folks at home. I'm looking at this and it says $60.10 year-to-date. That is from the July 1st, right?
Right.
Okay. So that clears that up. I have a PO 61050469. It's to a company named Teddytown for $6,000, but it's listed as other contract services, so I'm sure it has a reasonable explanation, but also, you know,
what
Here we-
page, Cal?
I think we find out what that is. Page 294,
$6,090.
$6,090.
This is grant funds with the library.
Okay,
We used grant money to pay for some kind of program, holiday program at the main branch.
fair enough.
Violet the Clown in Teddytown.
Oh, okay.
Sounds
Well-
like something I would have wanted to go to.
Sense. Okay, we've talked a lot about in-state travel, and I don't want to belabor in-state travel, but in most cases, in-state travel seems to be, you know, double-digit amounts of money, maybe a couple $100s for our particularly well-traveled employees. But I'm looking at one right now that is at $1,482 year-to-date.
What page?
Okay.
This is page 274. The purchase order for this one is 323-516-34.
Special Ed Director, School Department.
Where's he going?
I bet that's for a conference fee down on the Cape as well.
Okay,
Seacrest, it says Seacrest.
yeah.
Yeah.
Is there no,
No, we'll have the breakdown. This was at the Seacrest Hotel. It was for a conference.
oh, yeah, last year we did discuss there are no travel restrictions on the school side.
On the school side,
On the
correct.
school side. The city
Correct.
side can't go down the street, but,
Right.
okay,
You're on your own.
yes. Another in-state travel, PO is 54150033.
What page?
Page 227, 5,500 year-to-date, and it just says MCOA as the vendor.
So this is the Council on Aging. It's another conference. It's
Okay,
probably
so
the
we
Mass
paid the
Council on Aging,
conference
truthfully.
In-state.
Just
Oh, well, that
eyeing
would
it.
make sense.
And they're using grant money to pay.
Okay, well, even better. Okay. I will park that question. I wanted to note that year-to-date, 6 months in, we have paid Open Architects $125,000, just for the record. And a question I had on page 65, PO number 1475099. It's to Melrose Cemetery. The description is bequests. It's $8,000. We've paid $122,000 to date. I just wanted to figure that one out, because usually bequests are money coming in, not coming out. So it could be paid through the department, but I figured I'd inquire.
Well, this is through the Cemetery Trust Fund.
Yeah,
There are a number of these. in
Yeah.
here.
yeah.
Assuming it's perpetual care for the cemetery, and if it's a trust, it's their money, kind of, sort of.
Okay, so the money is coming in, and then we're paying it to the fund. Or we're giving it to the fund. It's coming through us, so it looks like an expense.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the money is coming in for the plots and for opening the graves?
They're paying in for perpetual care.
Oh, it's sale of lots,
Yeah.
yeah.
The plots, yeah. In
That's-
Pennsylvania, we call them plots.
You plotting, counseling?
That's right.
Okay. That's what I've got for now. Counselors, anyone else for another bite at the apple? Counselor Farwell?
Just very quickly, page 70, warrant P25051, one-time vendor. I don't have an invoice number or a check number. I can give you
Is it 9999?
it's a 9999 one-time vendor.
So it's a refund,
Yeah.
probably
and
on a
it's,
water bill.
It's a rebate of water rates of $493.27. I don't know why they don't name the person, but what's very interesting is the year-to-date for one-time vendors, and I don't know if it's for water rates, is almost $1 million paid out.
Well,
And
that-
I'm surprised that we would be overbilling that much for water rates, and then having to pay it back out. But can you pull up that one and find out who where the $493.27 went?
It's not going to show the names
It's not.
because of the billing process, so I can find out what the refunds are actually for,
Okay.
totaling all of this
But
specifically.
certainly the name isn't privileged. Could be a public record. It's public funds, but.
Yeah, let me just see the details as to why we're reimbursing.
All
And
right. And let me just enter for the record, Counselor Azak and Counselor Castro are new to this year. I'm going to make my usual statement on Amazon. We are up to $352,141.42 from Amazon. I did talk with our procurement officer. He said you can certainly belong to a purchasing collaborative, of which Amazon Business is part of it, but how many people can call up Amazon and order something and have it delivered? And how do we know where it's being delivered? How do we know that it's being used for the purpose for which it was ordered? And I just think this city needs a policy on who can order from Amazon, have a central purchasing point, have a central delivery point, and make sure that what we're getting is actually going out to where it's supposed to go. And the other thing I would mention is we have a valid contract with W.B. Mason. You know, to the extent that we're circumventing W.B. Mason and we're ordering from Amazon, I don't approve of that. I mean, if we go out to bid and we execute an agreement with them, it just seems to me we ought to live up to our side of the agreement and be purchasing from them, and they can certainly deliver in a timely manner. So maybe the public doesn't care that we're blowing $320,000 through Amazon. I do, and I think it's a problem. There's another one-time vendor, and this is collector's fees, $28,898.88, page 356, warrant P25063. I've got an invoice number, a check number, I've got a date, but I don't have a purchase order. But what would collector's fees and to whom would $28,898 be paid? I don't know if that would show up in the system.
While the auditor's looking for that, I think that does answer the question as to year-to-date that you asked earlier, Counselor. One-time vendor is, I'd love to see the different kind of things it's used for, but it's not $1 million in water rates.
Oh, good.
Which is,
But it's
I'd love to see the breakdown.
yeah, I'd love to see the breakdown, but, okay, so this is,
I can,
Well, that could be a good.
I can inquire with the treasurer. This looks like it has something to do with the taking or lien.
okay. But we paid it out somewhere, correct?
Yeah.
And explain to me why we use one-time vendor. Why do we list the names of other people who get $17.86 for travel reimbursement, but we don't put the name of the person to whom these payments are going? I don't understand that.
It's directly connected to the bills themselves, and it's a munis function. Because it's tied to a billing, it could include thousands and thousands of people. And in order to streamline the actual refund process on munis, it hits a one-time vendor to cut these checks. But what I can do is, I can talk to Marty about that and just kind of say in detail
I mean, even if
what
it
the
said,
process is where we're hitting this one-time vendor. Does that make sense?
even if it said various rebates or something, and you and I have talked, and I think you might have mentioned that we may be improving munis at some point Because, again, purchase of services tells me nothing. What service? Is it landscaping? Is it, you know,
Yeah.
it's rather nebulous, some of these entries. All right, here's my last one, and I mention this because we're approaching 10,000, but also because we have local people who could do this work. For Imprint Incorporated. Yeah, they got great advertisements on TV. $9,731.59 so far. Office sundries and supplies. Yeah, that tells me a lot. So it's 1080, well, voucher number, 1080916. Vendor number 49742.
Is there a PO number?
PO number 61050440. 61050440. That's only for $880, but we're up to $9,731 to date. That is on page 87.
I don't know if you know this.
Okay, this is through the library. This is for supplies. Oops.
Yeah, the Ehlers.
Oh, I didn't know.
Yeah,
Page 356.
that's where it's at.
Brockton Public Library, okay. Swag, okay.
She left the city.
Chenille blankets. Madam Auditor, when you go to the department heads meetings, and you can just certainly use my name, I'm not going to speak for the other members here, but I hope you'll point out to the mayor audibly enough so that some of the other department heads hear it. If you're going to order something and you can do it locally and support a local business, do it. You know, I don't care about For Imprint, and maybe they do have great stuff, but, you know, we're only as good as the policies that we put in place, and that's the last thing I'm going to say because this is our inaugural meeting. I hope that when we find out who has credit cards, when we find out who has the ability to order from Amazon, I hope that there is a very carefully written policy, and every person who has that authority should have to sign it and acknowledge it. Because if they violate it and they are caught using a credit card or making purchases that are not appropriate, they shouldn't work for the city. There's too much opportunity for people to stray, and it's happened in other communities, and I would like to tighten up on things here so that everyone knows exactly, for the privilege of being able to do this, you have this obligation, and you're going to sign the policy, and it's going to be part of your personnel folder that you understand.
So a part of our audit function, too, is when we pay these Amazon bills, a lot of them for the school department, is that we do need to see the delivery address, and it does need to be to a school or city location. We have rejected payments that came our way where the goods were delivered to the home of the employee, which isn't appropriate, so I'm glad you brought that up.
No, it's you know, it's taxpayers' money, and we should respect them. But thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Counselor. Counselor Azak.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to also follow up with what Councilor Falwell mentioned. I also noticed there's a lot of vendors that are used that are outside of the city, and I'm pretty sure that a lot of them could find vendors here in the city that could offer the same services. So I would like to see that as well. And I know it's very hard for you to tell them that, but maybe somebody's listening somewhere, and hopefully they do that. I did have, and as far as Amazon goes, it's very hard to get a copy of a receipt to find out what was actually ordered, so I don't know how you're dealing with that. And it gets very tricky with the business, because if I go on order for my account, have it delivered to the school,
Screenshot of the screen when they
so
order
that
it.
you accept screenshots of what's being delivered, which is good to find out what the products are. I just had a last question, and it's on, let's see, PO number 804-15045.
Page.
Oh, page 356.
Okay, this is the school department. This is for a private school tutor. They are hitting grant funds for this, so it's grant funded.
So, so that person's at
Yeah,
a different school that we're paying them to tutor one of our students? Okay.
Reading intervention.
Yeah, Title I.
I can see what this is about.
Okay, thank you.
It's probably stipulated in the grant, but
Okay.
I can find that out.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Counselor. Any other counselors' final remarks? Counselor Texera?
I got one question on page 92, 93 into page 94. It says City of Brockton, year to date, it's 300,000, 331, 397.96 cents. It said water and sewer charge. It doesn't.
Is it hitting a one-time vendor? No. Is it a refund?
I think those are the schools.
Are they?
I think those are payments from the schools,
Thank you, excuse me.
For water and sewer?
water and sewer, yeah. Yeah. I mean, we can pull one, but I think you're going to find that's what it is, yeah.
All right, let's pull one, just
Pull one of them, yeah.
63150340.
0340.
Yeah, I don't think we charge the schools.
Excuse me for coughing.
Girls participated, they haven't used it. I just thought it was a red coincidence.
It is. This is Parks paying their water bill.
This always,
That's the parking bay in the water.
Pardon?
Another one might be the school, I
that's
don't
not-
know.
Yeah.
We have to, huh?
Yeah.
Pull the one for 4,000 and see what that says.
Yeah, let's put another one.
You want to pull another?
Yeah, I'll, I'm sorry, 32351560.
This is the school department. coming out of the general fund, schools general fund. Yeah, this is them paying their water bill.
So it's the water bill from the school. All right. All right, appreciate it. Thank you, Mayor Otter. Thank you, Mr. Chair. That's all I have.
Thank you, Counselor. Any other questions on the warrants? Okay. So I think that we've gone almost exactly 2 hours. I think we've gotten to, into quite a bit of detail. The three biggest things that I've noted for research to discuss at a later meeting would be the settlement with Darnell Williams, the Mass Treasurer's Office cherry sheet,
Yep.
and the Parking Authority DPW waste removal chain of expenses that we dove into. As Councillor Farwell has mentioned a couple of times, this is the first Accounts Committee meeting of the new year. There is a new makeup to the committee. And I'm hoping that, this year, I think Accounts Committee is a very important committee for the city. And there's a lot of responsibility on us as the members to meet and dig these things up and ask these questions, visible to all in the light of day. I think that is, the name of the game. So I would like to, meet pretty regularly to, dig through the warrants, but also to have discussions on other matters that could come up that I would argue are within our scope. For example, the research items that I just listed out, questions like Easy Pass policy. Should we have Easy Pass? To discuss the written policies that the auditor has set up and have now posted online. How do we handle Amazon? Should we handle it a different way? How do we handle local businesses? Credit card matters, keeping an eye on them. In-state travel, one-time vendors, when things are listed as other, stuff like that. So I'd like to, we have to continue to tackle the warrants, but I think we have an opportunity in front of us to tackle larger discussion topics and policy in general, which I think can serve to educate ourselves, our colleagues, and the general public about what the auditor's office does, how the city functions, all the while making sure that we're checking it to make sure it's functioning as it should. But I look forward to this year, and I look forward to working with all of you. And seeing no other items, at 8:08, we are adjourned.